All right, folks. Let's get it. There we go. There we go. Yes. Yes. Do I like that? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So today is the 13th of December, 2024. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, a clothing company that is so much more than just a clothing company. We are called In the Image Clothing Company because we are all universally designed in the image of our living God, who is Jesus Christ. When we discuss the human body here, that's our focus, is the skeletal system. The fat content comes and goes, the muscle mass comes and goes, and all the musculature of the body does is hinge and pivot and rotate the skeletal system anyway. The human body is about the skeletal system, and we address how to just allow the body to work, mostly through clothing, and then we also discuss other things within the modern man-made world that we have in 2024, especially how flat everything is when our hands have this natural radius and rounding to them, and our feet love to grip texture, and our floorings are just very, very flat, unnaturally. So clothing needs to sit for everybody. It doesn't matter if you are a man or a woman, if you're tall or short, or any age, or fat or skinny. Clothing needs to sit where the pants are entirely above the hips, slightly higher in the front than the rear. That's the only way you're ever going to keep your core actually activated at all times, as it would naturally be. And then the tops, the seams on the tops of your shoulders need to sit behind that little bone that is there, that is actually the other end of your collarbone. That will just allow them to be in their natural positions, and then ideally just right at the very edges for those edge seams. So I have had two prerequisites since before I founded In the Image Clothing Company, just to allow the body to have a chance to operate natural, and then we get into depth from there. So first one is to lace your shoes with the technique that we use. You can find wherever you find In the Image Clothing Company. Being 2024, there is the internet, you can find us. With that technique included is just to tie your shoes evenly over toward the inside, and then, well, let me explain that a little bit. I'm not telling you to do something. All our shoelacing technique that we use does is just allow your foot to be unaltered, unless the shoe itself is different, like a heel on it, or an unnatural shape for your foot, or stretch within it. So second prerequisite is to remove all tags from everything that you wear. All the clothing, it's causing an unnatural gap wherever tags are placed within clothing, and it is also almost always synthetic, and the body doesn't want to have either of those things happening. It's going to alter the way that it works, and even within the tongues of those shoes. I know that they're kind of hard to remove. Sometimes I'll take some scissors or a knife and just put slits into the tag, so there's some grip for that ankle to dorsiflex, okay? So that is what we are as In the Image Clothing Company, and this is another video in the lifestyle series, okay? We have the lifestyle series for In the Image Clothing Company, where I discuss lifestyles of people and what those things, and really a lot of it is what the outfits that people wear doing those things are doing to their bodies. So let's get into this. This one's going to be on the gym bro, quote unquote. That's a term that gets like thrown around nowadays, but goes for a man or a woman. I'm focusing more on men in this for the sake of men go to the gym to, get really, really muscular, and women, not that they don't, but it's more common for women to go to the gym to, well, I guess like they have different approaches. Generally, men are trying to build like big chests, big shoulders, and usually women are trying to build like more leg strength and glute strength. So, or size, whichever it comes to on either end. A lot of people approach it for strength. A lot of people approach it for what's called hypertrophy or size, muscle mass training. So we'll get into this. It does apply to both. I'm not trying to separate women from men, but there is generally a different focus from men to women when they go to the gym. So here's the thing. You will see gym bros standing kind of like this. And you see them walking around, and they're like, their shoulders are like out like this, and their head's kind of like this, and they walk around like this, and they'll sit down and be all just like, it's like they're all out here, right? And they're just kind of like a big old gym bro, you know what I mean? They've got a big chest. That's usually what they're trying to train. Sometimes their lats are just so oversized, and so their arms can't even lay down at their own sides. And let me also be very clear. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody within this, but coming from a place of a foundationally, naturally functioning human body, I'm going to discuss how unnatural people get by going to the gym to try to make their body work better. They're actually just putting it into a really, really unnatural position. I'll get into it. So yeah, I'm not like making fun of people, but I'm not gonna hold back either with what I say. So you'll see people walking around like this after they've gone to the gym. And within my series titled The Truth Behind, for In the Image Clothing Company, I have a video titled The Truth Behind Push versus Pull, and I talk about some of these things within there. So what is important to see is in 2024, you have to be so intentional being just within the world that we live in nowadays to be able to even have your body's natural internal rotation. Like this, internal rotation versus like external rotation, okay? Internal, external. The reason I go up when I do internal is because the muscles that actually cause internal rotation to happen are muscles that are elevating your body. It's muscles like the upper traps, the rotator cuff, which is the muscles that go into the scapula, which is that bone on your back. You have one on each side. Your mid traps, the rhomboids, the things that are up on like the upper and mid part of your back is what's actually causing internal rotation to happen. Those are the main ones that are going to do that movement. And I have videos for In the Image Clothing Company titled There Is a Lot to Internal Rotation, and I have another one titled Internal Rotation is Closed Yet Open, where I talk about at the hands and feet, the extremities of the body having a closed position in line, but still with that nice radius rounding is going to be what's going to allow opening at the joint. But it's very clear to see that I said with that radius, not in line completely flat, because now your shoulders are locked into a stuck position, but in line and rounded the way they naturally are. So in 2024, since we have the clothing that we do, any stretch within clothing is going to be putting your body into a constant state of external rotation. Anything that we talk about, it's so common for people to be stuck in external rotation unless you're doing things intentionally to just allow your body to have its natural internal rotation, because clothing designs don't allow it, flat countertops, tables, and desks don't allow it. Sitting in a chair anywhere around 90-degree bend to the hips and knees doesn't allow it, because these things are all just so unnatural. And it just changes the body's working and kind of like steals half of its function. Internal is like not there. Most people can't do this in 2024. The reason I can, I am set apart in the sense that I do what it takes to allow my body to work, and you really got to do quite a bit if I'm being real about it, just being the modern world that it is. So yeah, not to get your body to do anything, but to stay out of the world is what it is. So when people go to the gym, what they're doing is training their bodies within clothing that's just so damaging their bodies. And so you go to the gym wearing something that's already just damaging your body, just living in it, and then you put your body through a lot of stuff that it wouldn't normally go through to try to strengthen it or to try to grow the muscles, and you're actually just damaging your body more than anything. You really are. So here's the thing. Drawstrings. If your drawstring's not tied evenly, we have a video titled How Drawstrings Affect Body Mechanics for In the Image Clothing Company. And the knot that I show to use is called the slipped lap knot, LAPP. And it's what I'm using here. It's just going to allow it to be so even, just straight across. And if you're tying your drawstring where you're putting one side over the other, then you're just taking your hips twisted. And so now anything you do, you're doing it with, let's say, gym shorts or like gym sweats at the gym, and every single movement you do, every single breath that you take, you're training a patterning of this rotation this way. Well, no, this way. or this way, you're training a rotation of the hips that travels from your hips up through your spine, through the rest of the entire upper body, or from your hips down through your feet, through the entire lower body. So if you are going to go to the gym, keep your drawstrings even. A lot of women wear pants nowadays that don't have a drawstring. They're like just stretchy and they just slip them up, and sometimes they're even at a pretty good angle for the waist to keep that core activated. Sometimes they're not, as far as the design of the pants, but then you're wearing something stretchy. Any woman who's out there wearing, it's just so much more common for women to wear those type of pants than men. Sometimes men will wear stuff like that underneath and then put shorts on. Either way, man or woman, but it is more common for women to wear those nowadays. Don't, I'm not telling you what to do, but don't, because any stretch within clothing at all, anything on the body stretchy at all, is just weakening your body. Just wearing it, like I was saying with the clothing, just wearing it in life at all, not doing any movement, not doing anything. If I'm just wearing something stretchy and standing here, as I breathe, even just breathing alone, which takes the entire body in some form to do, whether it's stabilizing or whatever it is within every part of the body down to the feet, the body stabilizes in all parts of it to be able to breathe, because your rib cage is expanding and contracting, ideally in 360 degrees every breath. So even just breathing alone, if you're wearing like a stretchy shirt or a stretchy waistband on your pants, it's going to be moving, and your body is going to be trying to like stabilize against something it can't predict. So stretchy clothing should never, in any case, for any human ever be worn. Ever. It shouldn't. It's just going to really, really, really alter your body's natural workings. So if you're going to the gym, let's say like you're a woman and you're doing like a lot of glute strengthening stuff and, you know, quad, hamstring, whatever it is that you're training at the gym, talk a little bit about the quads, at least a little bit within this. But yeah, you're trying to like train your legs at the gym. If you're wearing, they call them like yoga pants, right? Or leggings, whatever name that you want to put on it, similar pants to those, don't wear those. I'm not telling you what to do, don't listen to me, but don't wear them, because your muscles are just using so much effort to try to stabilize the stretch within those pants, and the movements you're doing, you're not getting what you think you're getting from them. Really what's happening is your progress, if you will, from those movements is just getting stolen from you because of the stretch within the pants. So that's a huge thing, and that goes for any item of clothing that has stretch in it. But those are something that's very good to mention specifically because of how commonly they're worn nowadays. So don't do that. Don't wear those, okay? We got some rowdy kids over here. So yeah, when you're at the gym and you're doing a bench press, if you're most often it's, anyway, yeah, if you're at the gym doing a bench press, if you think about external rotation and the position the body's in standing, when your feet arches are collapsed, which is where internal rotation is going to stem from, is a gripped arch of the feet, because the arches grip inward. And then from there, everything can just be in its neutral position and have its internal rotation naturally. So if you're doing a bench press and you're thinking about trying to train your chest, well, if we picture people standing in external rotation like this, just like a bad position for the body, and you can kind of hear, I can feel within my voice the strain, and it's hard to stand like this with my feet arches collapsed and my feet pointed out. I've got tension in here and my traps can't work. Well, that position is exactly what you're training into while you're doing a bench press. A bench press is a movement that should never be trained. That's not an opinion of mine, but it really shouldn't happen, because really the muscles that support your shoulders, the muscles that stabilize your whole upper body, are on the rear of your body. Like some of the muscles I was discussing earlier, but if we focus on just the upper traps, which are like the highest muscle of the body until we get to the head, and really there's not muscles that have like motion the way that muscles down there do once you get to the head. So pretty much the highest muscle within the body that actually has quite a bit of range of motion is those upper traps, and they connect along the side of the spine on the neck and then into the base of the skull right in the rear. And so when you think about doing a bench press, you're taking your natural position here and putting it clear out here. And so now all the muscles that are just supporting your shoulders are getting completely elongated out here. And it takes your pelvis anterior as well. And so when you go to the gym and you're trying to train a bench press to train your body's functionality, what you're actually doing is training deeper into a position that you don't ever want to be standing in, and that you're not going to be able to even breathe in, and you're getting into this deep ingrained patterning. And so the reason I was mentioning, just if you look at how people stand when they're within external rotation, just from things like clothing alone, let's say they have no kind of what you could say is like habitual activities that are causing a patterning, just what clothing designs alone will do, tying shoes incorrect and lacing them incorrect, and tags within clothing, oversized clothing, things like that, waistbands sitting in incorrect positions, and drawstrings and zippers, and you know what I mean, just things that are going to pull the body out of its natural alignment alone are going to place you in a position where you're kind of like this. And this looks very similar to if I were to demonstrate an over-exaggerated like gym bro look like this. It's like the same thing. My feet are totally out, my arches are totally collapsed, my pelvis is totally anterior, my core is totally deactivated. I've got tension here, stretch up here, rotation out here, and I'm standing like this. But then this is the position you're probably very close to just if you're wearing modern clothing designs alone. And then you're going to the gym training, watch this, I don't move from here, you're training a bench press. I mean, this is what people would call, I mean, you know, take that with a grain of salt, but similar to what people would call good form for a bench press. But really, if you try to stand like this, look at my back, look at my pelvis. No, the way the body works is here, arches gripped, shoulders back, chin tucked, but none of that should be conscious because the body just works until it's altered. So here's the thing. Gym exercises are damaging. You think that you're training your body, and yeah, you're probably adding quite a bit of muscle mass to certain muscles within your body. And yeah, you're getting your heart rate up, but you're doing things in such an unnatural position. Now, the thing with the quads is there's such a huge focus. People go to the gym and they'll just train and train and train their quads, and you'll do things to try to get just big quads. You'll do squats and try to feel like activation within, well, I mean, you know what I mean. Like you're doing a squat and you're hoping that your quads will grow, even though it's mostly hamstrings and glutes within a squat. But don't train your quads. Don't do it. Don't let me tell you what to do. But the quads should do very, very, very little in a naturally functioning body. What happens when the quads start to activate, when that happens, is when your arches and your feet collapse. So, and just doing that, I'm standing with my arches intentionally collapsed. It's like really hard for me to breathe because my core is deactivated. Those arches grip inward and it rolls the feet out and it tucks the pelvis and the core activates. And now you're just a normal human. But none of that can happen if your clothing isn't correct. It can't. No human being can fight clothing. Not me or anybody who ever wanted to. You can't do it because you have a waistband sitting lower in the front than the rear, and it's just pulling your core out of its contracted position. And so if your core goes, everything goes. And I have a video for In the Image Clothing Company within the Truth Behind series titled The Truth Behind the Core. But yeah, it's also so common for people to go to the gym in oversized shirts or hoodies. A lot of times bodybuilders or just people at the gym in general working out will go and wear an oversized hoodie. So now you're walking into the gym like this. I'm not making fun of anybody. I don't need to cover myself, but I just want to make sure that I'm not trying to sound mean, but it's just the truth. people are going into the gym in like an oversized hoodie, and then they're trying to push their body through motion like this. And your body, watch how different my body will be positioned when I just go to the normal way that I stand. From here in like a big hoodie, this really isn't even that over exaggerated, if at all. And then like, if I'm just gonna stand, it's just so different than your body would ever naturally work. It, you know, wearing the things that people wear to the gym to push their body through some pretty intense stuff. I mean, sometimes when people are doing, you know, deadlifts or squats, they're lifting some heavy weight, like a lot of weight, hundreds of pounds. And so now you're like doing positions, you know, that are just so like weird. Like, look at this. This is a deadlift, for example, right? Try to get right in the center of the frame here. Deadlift. I'm gonna try to do it in like what people would say is at least decently close to good form for a deadlift, right? And so like, and then they'll try to like, you know, get to the top and like push there. I'm not even trying to make fun of it, but it's just like this motion. Watch this. Look at me go through life like a gym bro, right? All that's happened is I've trained my body into a weird position all throughout. Your lats don't do what most people think the lats do. People put so much focus and emphasis on the lat, and they get these big lats and they stand like this. But the reason they're standing like this isn't because they've got a lot of muscle in some good way. No, it is not. You're standing like this because your lat connects from your upper arm and goes all the way down your back, inserts along the spine and the top of the pelvis. So what's happening, you take a neutral stance, you train your lats to be overworked, and that contraction will put you here. You're just taking a muscle that's connecting your arm to your pelvis crest and just making it so overly active and overworked and imbalanced compared to the rest of the body. And so it's just actually hiking your pelvis. That's all people are doing when they're looking like this and walking around like this after having gone to the gym. Watch me drop down into a deadlift. It's the same position, right? Or a squat, same position, but look at my pelvis. That's unreal. All you're doing is deactivating your core. You can't keep your core activated and do a deadlift. I actually discussed that within the Truth Behind series video titled The Truth Behind Push versus Pull. That's what it was in. Yeah, for In the Image Clothing Company. Because you go to do a deadlift and you have to get around your knees, and so you can't keep your core tucked and just stand as if you're going to like just, you know, work and pick something up. You can't get a barbell with your, first of all, your shoulders are in such a weird position, so out from your body. Even if you try to go closer, well, you just can't grab a barbell just because it's an unnatural thing to be doing. Picking something up, of course you can do that, but just, you know, naturally keeping your body active and centered, and you grab something. But getting around your knees with a bar straight in front of you, your pelvis goes. And if your pelvis goes anterior, your core can't activate unless it contracts. Your core can only contract just because the muscles have to get closer together if your pelvis tucks. There's no way you can contract your core if your pelvis is anterior. It just doesn't, there's no way. Because all that your pelvis going anterior is doing is elongating these muscles that you're trying to contract. So, yeah, anyway, yeah, so you've got deadlifts, you've got squats, common things. I actually have talked about both of those things within the Truth Behind series, both those motions. But no matter what you're doing at the gym, you're training your body in a position that's just not how it works. So that's why they're standing like this. They're not standing like this because, like, it is not the case at all, not even anywhere near a possibility for it to be the case that if you have a lot of muscle in a functional way, you're going to stand like people do at the gym or after having gone to the gym. If you have a lot of functional strength within your body, your body's in its same normal position and there's just strength there. Because your body only works in the position it does. So, but the other thing is, if you picture like sitting at a table with your hands on it, and if I were to just stand up with my shoulders like this and like drop my arms, it's the same position as like a deadlift. It's the same position as like a bench press. It's the same position really as if I rotate my arms up for a squat. It's the same thing, but it's not the same thing as standing. It's not the same thing as walking. It's not even the same thing as sleeping or anything you do as a human being. So people go to the gym and they train their body into positions that are just nothing that actually carries over into their life. There's a video in the Truth Behind series titled "The Truth Behind the Pull-Up." Even a pull-up, it's a pulling motion, and that's great. The rear of your body, that's where the strength is. That's where the functionality of the body actually is in a naturally functioning human body. But I've talked about, if you're going to be doing a pull-up, the motion you're actually doing doesn't translate into something like climbing something, because doing a pull-up, you're pulling straight into yourself. So like if I'm sitting here, I'll mention a couple of pulling motions because yes, the rear of the body, that's great to train. I say we shouldn't ever have to train the body at all. It just needs to function and do what we need it to do. And it just needs to be in a position to allow that to happen. But as far as the muscles you're focusing on, okay, you're pulling, that's what the body's designed to do, much more than push. But if you grab a bar and you go to do a pull-up, well, look at my pelvis. You can't keep your core tucked and pull to your chest. Because if you're going to be climbing something, and that's your intention on training pull-ups, is to get more strength to be able to just climb up something, if you're climbing, the whole point is to get what's above you below you. And that's still in front of your body. When you're doing a pull-up, you're pulling the bar straight at yourself. That's never going to benefit you in your life to do, other than doing a pull-up. So if you're going to be climbing something, you know, a tree or like a cliffside or just up onto anything, then you're going to have your arms not here, but just here. Look at my core. Ready? Ready? That was funny to me. Look at my core in my pelvis position, right? A pull-up, you can't bring your core in because you're gonna hit bones together. But if you're gonna climb, right? So pull up here versus climbing here. Pull up, climbing. Pull up, climbing. Unnatural, natural. Because now you're just climbing, like climbing up a ladder. Oh, that's a beautiful example. I don't know if I mentioned a ladder within the Truth Behind the Pull-Up. That's the example that I would want to use for this. You're climbing up a ladder. The whole point is to bring it lower, lower, lower. A pull-up, you can't, because now you're not going to get your body weight above what you're bringing down if your hands are out here. It's just not, you're not going to put all this weird torsion on your elbows and have strength there. What's going to happen within a pull-up is the bar is going to like essentially go through your chest. So when you climb, naturally you'll have your hands closer. I mean, yeah, if you're like an actual rock climber, sure, sometimes you're really reaching, but still you're pulling things like in front of you, because you're not going to get your body through the mountainside, for example. Yeah, so pull-ups are strange. They really don't transition into anything you could do in your daily life. They don't. So it's weird. It's what I'm saying is weird is that people want to train in the gym. But let me give a little context. I used to work out years ago. I'd have like dumbbells, I'd be doing curls, you know, and I'd be doing like dumbbell presses and, you know, shoulder press. But even a shoulder press, like your pelvis is gonna go. anytime your pelvis goes, your core deactivates. Because in order to keep your core actually active, with your arches active as well, not like feet sticking out and trying to get your core active, you're just gonna have binding up in the bones of your hips. You have to get your hip where it's going to allow your pelvis to tuck. And so if you're going to do it like a military press, well, you can't do that really unless you take your pelvis to just make room for this position, because it's the same thing. It's not going to translate over into daily life, because if you're going to lift something above your head, you're going to do it in front of you and like place something somewhere. You can't lift something straight above you and accomplish anything from that. Because if I had something in my hands like this, like I would be doing for like a, again, just look at the position of everything, having to adjust to even get to the position. If I'm going to be lifting something straight above me, where's it gonna go? Like, why would I do that, right? But like, you have a shelf you're going to set something that's kind of heavy onto, then I'm just gonna do it like in a natural way. Let's say I have like a little bucket thing that I'm gonna be setting on a high shelf. You know, you get down, just keeping your body active, grab it, and just like set it onto the shelf with your body still activated and internal, and you just, you know, put it up there. But a military press, why? Where is it gonna go? Because you're not gonna put it up there, or you're gonna fall over, because your core is deactivated and your pelvis is anterior and your feet are out. And so it's like, you know, rather than just, people are just so, it's not a judgment, I was as well, but we just get so out of touch with our natural body's workings that these gym exercises get done, and they're not helping you. In fact, they're very, very, very much damaging your body, like so much. So yeah, I mean, that's a few pushing and pulling motions at the gym that people are doing. But it all translates into standing like this. Because a military press, right? A bench press, right? A deadlift, a squat, and you walk through life like this. Now I'm gonna go back to normal. Okay, so the gym, do what you do, but don't damage your body, and that's all you're doing if you're doing those kind of exercises and going to the gym. So any stretch within clothing is just going to alter your body no matter what. Ideally, waistlines are just completely level, because our hips need to be, or else something's compensating and rotating through the entire body. Clothing needs to sit where I discussed, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing. So if any of those things are altered at all, and then if you have a heel on your shoe, even the slightest, and you're going to the gym to do any kind of exercise, it's already so damaging. I'm wearing barefoot shoes, no insoles in them. I always remove my insoles from my barefoot shoes when I first get them. So they're thin, and I'm just basically standing on the ground through all this demonstration. So they're laced and tied correct. My clothes sit currently where I discussed that they should. I'm just giving a little reference so that everything that I am doing in this video for the visual, I'm doing within clothing that I would recommend to have be sitting the way that I say it should. And it's not about me, but I know the human body very well in its natural functioning form. So yeah, any core workouts, if you're gonna be on the ground, like doing sit-ups or crunches, if you have your shoes tied unevenly, you're only gonna train one half of your core, because one of your feet's gonna be pulled out and you're trying to crunch within a twist. You're just putting a bunch of twist on your spine and your pelvis is twisted, even if everything else was centered. And most everything else within your clothing is probably very uncentered, and just because it comes that way from the factory nowadays, that's not your fault. So yeah, you know, when you're doing crunches or whatever, sit-ups, I wouldn't even recommend doing those things because your core should always be activated. And if you're doing it with pants that don't have the waistline higher in the front, you're wasting your time. Because immediately when you're done with that exercise and you stand up and your pants are lower in the front, they're pulling your core deactivated, if you could word it that way. So it's a waste of time. And I say that out of encouragement because people feel that they have to go to the gym. No, you shouldn't actually. You should not. You should allow your body, keyword being allow, always at In The Image Clothing Company, to just work and then go through your life. Because as much as I wanted to go to the gym in the past, and I did, and I spent like 3 days a week doing like an hour-long workout, that's what I would do. Yeah, pushing hard. I mean, I knew how to work out, quote unquote, as far as I knew sets and reps and rest periods and time under tension and full ranges of motion. And like I was actually like doing it the way that would be proper to do workouts. But, you know, and I saw improvement in muscle growth, but my body didn't function. Sure, I grew muscle, but I was just stretching and sore all the time. And now, like I say, I never stretch. I'm really cold. I can't even quite straighten my fingers. It's the date that I said in Utah, United States of America. But I never stretch now, and I never get sore. And in those times when I was trying to go to the gym and working out and doing all these things to do the whole like gym community type of things, my body didn't function. As much muscle mass as I gained, it didn't function. I mean, I couldn't sit in a full deep low squat like I can now, and I had like no mobility within my body, and now I do. So all it's about is allowing your body to work. It's just allowing clothing to sit on your body to allow the skeletal system to just connect in its natural and neutral positions. My hands, I can't even put my pinky together. It's really quite cold out here, actually. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, mobility and ranges of motion like this is stuff that in the past I would have just tried to stretch into and do mobility workouts into and put like a little lacrosse ball in my glutes and try to, you know, get stuff like my IT bands to loosen up, and my quads I'd be stretching, my hip flexors I'd be stretching, my pecs I'd be trying to stretch. You should never have to stretch your pecs. I mean, your pecs don't really do very much in your daily life as far as like what people are trying to train them to do in the gym. It's like the quads, and I'll mention that a little bit more. People are training their quads, but don't. Like I said, when your quads activate, really what that means is your arches have collapsed within your feet, and then your hips are just in an unnatural position. And so it takes the activation away from the natural places it'd be in that posterior chain, and it puts it onto your quads. And so, but if you're in that same position that I was talking about, emphasis is just going to be on your quads in that position. So yeah, any heel on your shoe, I was mentioning that, but just the slightest. It's like what I was saying with the drawstrings, you know, or like an oversized hoodie. You go into the gym with those kind of things, your body's already getting beaten up, and then you put it through a lot at the gym. So don't. But yeah, you know, the gym goer, the gym bro, or the gym woman's lifestyle, it's something that is a lifestyle. It's something that's a patterning more than anything. It's not actually benefiting you. I know some people may look like their bodies are in a good working order when they're walking around, and you can visually see they've got more muscle than they would naturally have. And I'm just being real about this. I don't mean this. I don't have something against anything for the sake of like having an opinion on it. But the positions their bodies are in, that's not the natural position that their body would be in at all. It isn't. So as much as, sure, they're exercising their bodies and they have muscle mass, normally their bodies just aren't functioning very well, and sometimes even worse than people who don't even do any exercise. And I just want that to be very clear. I don't have any kind of thing behind that, but I know it out of personal experience, and I know the human body so in depth. If you have a question about that, check out In the Image Clothing Company content. Look at just the way that my body works naturally. Not about me, but just for the sake of what I am saying. I do practice what I preach to the best of what I can, and that's how I'm just allowed to do what I do now that I wasn't able to do in the past, because the body will just work. It doesn't have to be forced to do something to be like better functioning. It should just function if it's not being altered. So yeah, because a lot of times as well, you'll see people, I talk about, like I have a video for In the Image Clothing Company titled Shoulders Naturally Sit Behind the Body, and I'm actually very cold, so I'm kind of hunched over just for the sake of visual reference. But when you do stand, your shoulders naturally sit behind you just because of the insertions of the muscles. We don't have a say, right? The way the positions the bones connect into, we don't have a say. They just work how they do to keep everything neutral. And a lot of times you'll see people who go to the gym a lot, who work out a lot, and they'll be standing with their shoulders like under their head, like under their ears, rather than behind their body where your traps actually connect, right? Look at the mobility in my neck back here and the neutrality in my wrists and pelvis and whole body, ankles and everything. It's just neutral back here. Now if you stand like a lot of people who go to the gym stand, like you can't even turn your neck because your trap connects in the rear of your base of your skull. So you have to have your shoulders in the position that they work in, the only position. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, is I don't have any kind of opinion. I'm not trying to make some kind of like point, but the body only works how it does. And so I have an eye for it. I can just look around and I can see the position people's bodies are in. And if you can tell somebody works out just because they have an abnormal amount of muscle, well, if they're standing like this, that muscle's not doing you any good. It's actually just more weight to carry around, and you've trained it into a patterning that's so unnatural, and now you're just in this chronic state of unnatural, no mobility, stretching all the time, putting lacrosse balls and foam rollers places, and yeah, you've kind of done it to yourself. No, I'm not trying to like make anybody feel bad about that, but I just mean it. Like, until you get out of those patternings, that's all you've done is place your body into unnatural patternings. So yeah, because if you look at people who are actually very, very, very functional, people like Bruce Lee, or, well, I mean, really just a lot of athletes that are actually, I mean, even like gymnasts generally don't look like somebody who goes to the gym. You can almost pick a gymnast apart from a crowd without even knowing anything about them, because they stand proper. They stand and walk well because they have to for what they do. They're barefooted a lot of the time, and yeah, just, I'm not trying to compare anything, but I want to make it very clear that people, well, because the point is, people know it. People who go to the gym, they know the damage that's happened to their body because they're trying to recuperate every time they work out. And if you're working out to get more functional, you should be having less pain, and they're almost always having more. That's the whole point. I don't care. You can go to the gym every single day of your life. You don't have to listen to me about anything. I want to make that so clear. But I'm discussing the truth because, yeah, if you just know where the insertions of muscles are and how the body connects, and the heels need to be on the ground, the arches need to stay activated, the core needs to stay activated, and then everything just has a neutral position. If you know where that is and how that works, then you don't have to even do any kind of questioning about anything or try to like get down to the problem of something. You can just take a quick glance at somebody and know that they're in an unnatural patterning. And that's fine. We get into them. I just mean, it's not fine for the body. So these gym exercises, it's just so unnatural, because the other thing too, I mean, that's like, I could have stopped there, just said, anytime you're doing anything on a completely flat floor, or anytime you're grabbing a bar that's flat, this, putting my hands flat, just puts you into the same position as doing the motion. Just if I were to have no radius in my hand at all, just flat rather than rounded, and my hands are cold right now, but that just already just binds up all your shoulder capsule, and then it travels through the rest of your body. So I mean, just that alone, any barbell, any dumbbell, any, you know, gym machine that has something you hold on to in any way that is flat, as far as like a bar, right, is completely flat, even though it's a round bar, where your hand is going to be is completely flat. That's just, I mean, that's something you should never even hold as a human being. There's no opinion or like ideal utopia, or I just mean the hand is rounded, period. Everything in nature has some sort of texture to accommodate for a rounding in the hand. There'd be nothing ever that you would find, I mean, there wouldn't, that in nature that would be as like machined flat as a barbell or a dumbbell. So that alone, you're just damaging your body, even holding something like that. Even just holding it in your hand, because it takes away the natural grip and just flattens out. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, this is great. This is the lifestyle series. This is the gym goer. I don't have any judgment toward any person within this, but I have every judgment against anything that could alter the body's natural workings. And just for the sake of, like, we've been given this body. This is all we have in this life. You don't have this body, you don't have this physical life in the way that we know it. That's all that this life is this body, as far as in this time period, this little in-between probation period that we're in. But people will be trying to get theirs to work better by doing things that are just only damaging it. Only. I mean, you're not getting benefits from gym workouts. I don't care how that sounds. You're not. You're not. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I mean, because I don't need to touch on every item of like gym clothing and stuff. You need to know where clothing needs to sit, just because that's the way the skeletal system connects. No opinion of mine. And then from there, just yeah, I mean, don't work out, man. Don't do these workouts, but don't let me tell you what to do. I just, like, it's crazy. It's just a trap. It's like how I say, and I will stand on until the day I die. Just, I mean, we go on, but I just mean, I won't be here to be saying it after I'm dead. Running is damaging to the body, and that's something I will always stand on. That's something I've said so much within the Image Clothing Company content. But when your body's in such an unnatural position from things that you don't even understand, just as I didn't until I founded In The Image Clothing Company. That's why I did, because I started to understand the way the body naturally works and how that's not even allowed to happen in our modern 2024 unless we're very intentional to allow it to. So when your body is so altered, then you'll be doing things like working out, gym routine type stuff. You'll be doing things like running to try to get it to do what you think is going to be function better, and all you're doing is damaging your body. So yeah, I'm not trying to get anyone to believe anything. I don't have any kind of like opinion that I'm trying to push. It's just the truth. It is. So it's crazy, actually very crazy. But yeah, because you can see it. I mean, you can tell somebody works out, but it's not because normally the reasons we can say that, we can come up to somebody and be like, man, you go to the gym, huh? It's because their bodies look so different in a way that's unnatural, and you can visually see that. It's not some kind of like, I don't want to use myself as like an example, but I'm going to say this. If you watch In The Image Clothing Company videos, if you look at me and my body, it's not about me, but it really is about the things that I do and the intention that I have behind allowing my body to be natural, my body just works in a way that's so set apart from most people in 2024 because it's naturally functioning. And so what I mean by that is you can look at people, and that's why I started the lifestyle series. You can look at people and the way that their body is working, the positions that it's in, you can tell kind of like what they do. You really can, at least if you have the trained eye to see that. So that's really what we see when we look at people and we say, oh dude, you worked out, huh? Or like, you know, you come up to someone's like, hey, you've been working out? You know, you haven't seen them in a while, and they have. Well, they're probably like, yeah, I have, you know. And I'm not judging, I am not, but you're in pain if you're standing like this. So, I mean, it's kind of unfortunate because it's more of a culture. It's more of a push through the media, and, you know, products are made and supplements are made and all these things to where it seems so appealing because it gets said that it is. But I mean, anything you're going to do in life that's just causing that much rehabilitation to happen, all it's doing is damaging. You know, I mean, I'm not telling you anything that is something you should believe. Don't believe me. Don't. Like, please don't believe me on anything ever that I say. I mentioned, like, we have In the Image Clothing Company podcast, and I mentioned how I don't believe in anything. I am a devoted disciple of Jesus Christ, but I just want to know the truth of all things. I don't care to believe in anything, and I don't want anyone to ever try to believe any words that I say. Ever. Not even just within In the Image Clothing Company. I mean, just in my life, ever. Don't believe me. But I want to discuss things in ways to where people can see what they are, undisputed, to where you could find this out yourself, but unless you came to the knowledge of it on your own, I want to be somebody who can give introductions to truth. So workouts should never happen as far as what we think of as workout positions, like the ones I mentioned within here. So yeah, the lifestyle series, because the whole thing is you spend so much time doing this, and you get so caught up in, I mean, the more you get devoted into like the gym culture, the more you want your body to work better, the more you want to be able to lift more weight, and the more you want to be able to, you know, do what you would consider as progress within it. But the more you do that, the deeper ingrained these unnatural patternings within your personal body are, and the more you do it, the more frustrated you get, the more rehab you have to do. And what happens a lot of the time is we get doing something and we get so into it or caught up to it that we get blinded from the obviousness of it. This happened to me so often. And what happens is, because it's such a common thing for people to work out, again, like I said, it gets pushed. People say that this is a good thing to do. You want to get in shape? Come work out with me. I go on runs on Saturdays. Come and, you know, people say this kind of stuff. Like, no, don't. You're going to damage your body. Let your body work. And that the way to approach that is so different than anything you're going to see within media and stuff. But what we show at In the Image Clothing Company, again, do not believe me on anything. But I discuss stuff to the point where, as long as you're hearing it as it is, there's no dispute to what we say. So, I mean, we mess up. We're, you know, sinful by nature as human beings. But no, I mean, like, what I talk about, it's not for anyone to like jump on board with my company. It's not for like anything like that at all. But it's like, let's get down to the truth of things, because what I was, you know, leading into is we get so caught up in working out that we lose touch of how obvious it is that anything you're doing to your body that you feel like you have to recover from is damaging it. You go work really hard and like let's say we had to cut down all these trees. I don't know why that'd be, but just it's a good example so you can see this within the video. Like, we had to cut down all these trees. You're working all day and you're, got saws out and you're moving wood and lumber. And at the end of that, your body is sore. Well, if the job had to be done then the job had to be done. But the point is, your body took a beating. And when we think about our bodies functioning well, they should have little to no pain. Ideally no pain, unless something actually happens to them. They should not ever have to be stretching, and I'm living proof of that, because I didn't have that ability in those times that I'm mentioning in the past, and now I do. And I don't do anything now to allow or to like make that happen other than just allow it to. It's always the back end of just allow the body to work. Because here's the thing, after that hard day's work, cutting down all these trees, we'd be like, man, we pushed ourselves, man. That was maybe a little too much, and you're sore the next day and things. But you go to the gym and you do workouts. To your body, it's the same thing as doing all this physical labor out here. That was just something that had to be done. But within the gym, like something you would not do unless you had to, right? You go to the gym intentionally to damage your body. That's what's happening. So yeah, because anything you do in your life that's not like that's what you think you're doing is working out. If you go do something and afterwards you have to foam roll, or you have to put lacrosse balls places, you have to hold stretches, you have to do mobility work and like deep tissue massage, you try to avoid those things if it was just daily tasks. To the body, it's no different. In your intellect, you've watched the TV, for example, and people have said, yeah, go to the gym and get strong and take these supplements and do these things. You're just damaging your body. You really are. Because, man, I want to be very clear. I don't have an opinion on this at all. This is something, we'll talk about. In the Image Clothing Company is going to be a lifelong thing for me. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to always have these same things that I say. Always. So, just because it's the truth. It's not some opinion that I have. So, yeah, when we lose touch of how it's just so apparent once you can see it, but we get caught up. It's people believe, man, yeah, this is gonna get really real. Well, at In the Image Clothing Company, we are centered around the gospel of Jesus Christ, and so we just speak truth, right? There's no point in me just saying some opinion on what I think about workouts. No. I'm giving truth to people who just don't see it in their current time. A lot of people really get caught up in things. Us as human beings, we believe little things over time, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger and more ingrained into us. And it's been decades, especially in the past, decades, more than any time in the past, it's been pushed and pushed and pushed. Workouts, building more gyms, more supplements, more things to put into your body to get it to do something when it should just already naturally be doing what it does, right? So, yeah, it's always those like little lies, really, over time that people believe. So within the media, they just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And then we've got social media nowadays that didn't exist in the past. And so more people will be showing off their big bodies and their big muscles at the gym. And sure, you've grown muscle and you've done that, but it's not aided your body. It's actually damaged you. And so, like, people believe little lies over time that build to the point that we get into this like view and mindset that things just seem like all the things that are obvious aren't anymore. And so yeah, it is weird. It's really weird. Because you go to the gym and do workouts, you gain unnatural muscle in an unnatural position, and you stop working out, and about 2 weeks later, your body is just back to like slumped over couch potato. If you just let your body work, aka check out what we have information-wise at In the Image Clothing Company, then your body will always just be in its only working position, as long as we can be intentional. There's nothing to do. It's take everything away. So stop working out, but don't let me tell you what to do. I hope you could hear that correct. I'm not trying to tell anyone to do anything, but I'm speaking truth within this wholeheartedly. So yeah, workouts. And I mostly just touched on like weightlifting type stuff within this, but same goes for cardio, because like you're on an elliptical machine, you know, and you're just like doing this like, you know what I mean? And now what? You're gonna go through life and do that same thing? No, you're gonna go through life and walk. And you only walk how you stand. Walking and standing are the same thing. I mean, like if I'm standing, I've been standing this whole time, like, and then I just start walking, nothing has to change within the body. So you don't need to train how to like do this thing to do this. You know what I mean? It's different. It actually is just entirely different. So no matter what you're training in the gym, you're only training that. That's it. And I've talked about this with running as well. You know, when you're walking, you walk like this. When you're running, you have to lean forward or else you can't go forward at that speed. And you're just in a different position than you'd ever be actually functioning through life. So, yeah. This is just truth, man. I don't want to step on anybody's toes on your end. I mean, I'm going to say whatever I want, but I don't want people to get offended because I'm not offending anybody on my end. But it's the truth. Like, anything at the gym that you're doing is just so different than anything you'd be doing in your daily life. And the thing with like the muscles of the body and like the electrical nervous system of the body that actually stems into the muscles functionality, when we talk about like muscle memory, the muscles, they get used to doing what they do. And so when you're training a position in the gym, you're not training the functionality of that muscle to be able to do what it could do in whatever range of motion it would naturally do it in. You're just training the functionality of that muscle in that exact plane of motion you're training. Like I said with the pull up, and like I said with, well, I mean, like all the other positions, that it's always so similar. Like, I'm gonna go over this one more time. You've got, look at the position of my body in a deadlift, in a squat, in a military press, in a bench press, in a pull-up. But now look how I'm standing. This is not life. This is not daily life. But it will become your position that your body will be stuck into until it gets out of the patterning. So it's so strange. There's genuine joy coming from me because you can tell now after what I've explained. There's no opinion in what I'm saying. It's just we don't see it. I didn't in the past either, but man, I've got like full joy about this because I love this. Okay, anyway, the point with all this, to wrap this up, is we need to be as in touch as we can be with our own body. Nobody gets to tell you how your body works, although what I say is, yes, universal stuff about just the way the skeletal system connects. I talk about a position, the only position, because the muscles just have two inserts. That's how a muscle works. It inserts to one bone over here and one over here, and it contracts. And so it only does that in the position it does that. The positions can't, the insertions can't change and they can't move. The muscle just adheres to a bone and it adheres to a bone. And so the body only does what the body does. And it's not this, okay? So, yeah, to wrap it up, I want to be very clear. We can get so in touch with our own bodies. This is personal experience on my part. I used to be so out of touch with my body. I used to stand like terrible patterning position is what I was stuck in. I didn't approach that right with my grammar, but I used to just be in such a terrible patterning for decades. I'm only 25, but yes, for decades, ever since I started tying my shoes unevenly, ever since I started wearing clothing really as a little infant and then had enough time to get into the patternings that clothing places you into. You know, sitting in chairs that are so unnatural for the body, cutting off the hamstring and You know what I mean? Like deactivating your core, all these things, wearing pants lower in the front, all of these things that we're all doing, and it's not our fault. But it's the modern world that we live in that, unless, like I'm saying, we're very intentional about, we will just all struggle with, because it's outside of us. We go to the store, we get some clothes, put them on, and our bodies are like this. But if we're intentional and we do modifications, and I show them freely within In The Image Clothing Company, then our bodies can just work, and we can just be humans and just do what we do with our own lives at that point. But going to the gym is not something you want to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm not trying to tell you anything besides the truth. And I am. So, yeah. Okay, anyway, there we go. Yeah, I love it. Shoot, I love it so much. Okay, so we are In The Image Clothing Company. Today is the 13th of December, 2024. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. We have 3 ways of approaching this. My hands are pretty cold. We have this, the main company side of things. We also have In The Image Clothing Company podcast, where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. I love the podcast. Check it out if you'd like to, where you find your podcasts. And then we also have In The Image Clothing Company music. And that is just going to be a whole thing in itself, just having so much fun with music. So thank you. Please hear what I'm saying. I've got no kind of like beef, if you will, with people who go to the gym, but I have everything against anything that is going to alter the body's natural workings if it doesn't have to. And we don't have to go to the gym. And really, let me hit it very clear. In fact, it's on the other end. Not only do we not have to work our bodies out, but working out in any position that is not the body's only actual functioning, activating as a whole, normal working, neutral position is just going to damage it. And that's it for every single human. No opinion of mine in this at all. So thank you. Yeah, this is the lifestyle series. I'm excited to get into this. This is the second video in it so far. And it's cool because, like I'm saying, I'm able to look around and just see people's bodies' position that's happened because of things they do in their daily life. And a lot of that is just the attire that they are wearing to do those things. So, okay, thank you.